This Couch Coop doing an actual local co-op review. It is Quake 2. This intro is going to play out for as long as I can get away with it.
Establish communications. Priority out.
Quake 2 is from id Software, the people that gave us Doom, and a little bit like Unreal, it's named after its engine. 97 was a strange year. I was thinking about MDK. Third-person shooter. Had a Geiger-esque sort of Scorn UI, system control console. It was a crazy-ass game. I have to dig that one up. Talking of crazy ass, Quake 2 runs absolutely like a dream on most systems now, 60 frames per second. We've got so much smooth activity going on here, and there is an RTX, quite recent fruition of this. The reason it sparked my interest is because I can remember a lot of DLC for campaign content and co-op content. One of the cooler areas of these games was being able to go through a lot of these levels with someone else on your side co-op. One of the major areas though, first of all, is the Deathmatch system. Now you've almost got a mini split screen construction kit here with these menus. It's very good and easily understood. You can have up to 8 players, I think, on local co-op. That might be an LAN thing, which stands for local area network, and that is basically just not using the internet and connecting devices via an Ethernet cable. Old school local multiplayer. Obviously Deathmatch is going to be your first port of call. You don't have to have bots in, it's not compulsory. You can muck around, look at the maps. One thing you'll realise is the maps are massive and they're multi-tiered, and there's no minimap. There's no way of knowing where the other person is, so you are screen cheating to the hilt, and there is a game that specialises in that. But let's keep on the Quake 2 subject. It runs so smoothly, and the sliding around and getting used to popping out of little areas and cheesing the other player. Also, you've got some bounce ballistics on some of the weapons, and this was one of the first games where you could actually see a damn missile go hurtling through the air right past you. It was incredible how those ballistics and explosions first appeared in these early FPSs. 9E shooters like this also didn't hold back on being completely metal. Like Doom was born out of metal and thrash metal, and just that whole rip and tear idea was from, I think, a sort of 90s grungy death metal background with a lot of the developers, and it's still around as a sort of message within the game itself today, but it's very much more diluted, and new first-person shooters don't even go near heavy metal as a theme song to be playing all the time. So as you can see, it's not the most crowded of game modes. So we were like, okay, let's put some bots in, and you get an option here to be on the same team as your mate, all the bots against you, free-for-alls, everything. So a little bit like Time Crisis, you can set the variables to make it like a crazy horde shooter. Quake, Unreal and Doom explored sort of not being grounded as a game model within first-person shooters in the early years. Wolfenstein was totally stuck to like a grid system, but implementing a jump, having different puzzles and jumping onto boulders and adding another 3D axes essentially to the gameplay was a huge moment for all of us. And the way this flowed, and LAN parties and death matches with like 4 or 5 of you with their own PCs, and the competitiveness of not being able to screen cheat, that was the birth of competitive first-person shooters for me. So the meat and potatoes and split-screen gaming league, you'll like this one, can be found in the cooperative modes. Now back to that DLC thing I was talking about. There's like 8 massive campaigns in this Game Pass edition of Quake 2. There is a wealth of amazing co-op content to be had there. Sci-fi, different outside areas, bosses, cooperation, getting split up, dealing with hordes. It was so good to experience it with someone else that may have only just played something like Borderlands. This is very much more stripped down and a lot faster and hectic. You've got to push through very large swathes of enemies and work out massive puzzles. I would put this even up there with Halo 1 and Halo 2's campaign material, just for the sheer size of it, and retrospectively it damn well holds up, which is pretty amazing considering how much FPS campaign content, co-op and local co-op there is out there. Those barrel explosions, they're amazing. And the weapons as well, they'll have you laughing. There's like BFG equivalents and things that bounce off walls and cause like globules of molten metal on the floor. Unreal 1, 2 and 3 I got heavily into, very much with the Deathmatch as well, playing the bots and playing the AI. That was a huge section of that game, and the AI bot programming on this is harsh as hell. There is no way they have kept up that standard with stuff in COD that you see nowadays. I really wanted to test more than 2 players, and it does take keyboard as a controller, but I just don't own enough actual controllers to implement that. So put something in the comments. If you've even had this to 6, I'd love to see how those splits perform. Actually, talking of Borderlands 3, and I also didn't check to see if there's a vertical or horizontal toggle on the split. I don't think there is. But Borderlands 3 has recently been played by myself. I've done Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and I've gone back to that to sort of see where it all started on that 10th generation split screen level. And I think I'm going to put another video out about it because its mid to late game is absolutely amazing. But back to Quake 2, and as mentioned, you are going to find the most fun in that cooperative mode, exploring on a nostalgia level some of that older material, but also if you're totally new to the Quake series or old school first person shooters, you're going to smile with this one. The puzzles, some of the macabre with what happens to the NPCs and the outlandish weaponry, it's enough to keep you going for a good couple of hours. Also forgot to mention the toggles, and there is a toggle on, toggle off friendly fire, but I remember Quake defaulting to friendly fire on, particularly in that campaign, and that was one of the sort of early sort of Helldivers vibes almost, was that running in front of your colleague during a firefight was a big no-no, and of course exploding things around them. So I would always leave it on. It definitely gives an added angle. I was of course Couch Coop. Please help a struggling YouTuber out. Drop me a like, drop me a sub. Loads more co-op content, local co-op content on the way, and single player offline content. This is Doom with the RT mode, Eternal, kicking off. Wow, it's a good time to be alive on the old FPS front. See you down there.